Good morning, everyone. I'm Letitia Jeffrey, and it is a pleasure to be your Master of Ceremonies for this very special online Menzies Youth Health Summit for 2021. I would like to acknowledge that the Honourable Lauren Moss, Minister for Youth, is online, and we thank her for taking the time to be a part of this session. We also have a number of MLAs, including Mark Turner, joining us, so we welcome them also. To the many young people from across the Territory and representatives from a range of service providers and health professionals online, welcome to you all. As you're aware, we had to shift the format of this year's Youth Health Summit to being an online forum. This was to maximise everyone's safety, particularly those who had to travel from remote communities. Please also be aware that yesterday, the NT government announced that in the NT, those over the age of 12 are now eligible to receive a COVID vaccination. Please share this information through your networks and encourage young people in your community to get vaccinated and protect the health of our communities. This is another great step toward keeping our community safe and protected against COVID. If you could all please have your cameras turned off and set your microphone to mute so we can minimize the background noise, that would be really great. And if you're able to be on a laptop or computer, that will actually work a lot better than your phone as well. We'll be pinning each of the presenters to the main screen as we go, so you should be able to see anyone who's speaking at the center of the mainstream, or it'll be to the side. This event has been coordinated by youth for youth, so I'm pleased to play a very special welcome to country from the young Trent Lee from Bundarik Consulting to present a very special welcome to country.
Minun gruga bacua nananga Bundarik Fuyana nara juan kalau ke ini jurla tarbelera narba nere kumila belera nemek. Good morning. My name is Trent. This is my father Tony. First I'd like to acknowledge our ancestors, both past, present and emerging, and also the younger generation. Larrikey land spans about 50 kilometres inland to Manson Dam area. From east to west, Adelaide River to Cox Peninsula, and obviously up to the harbour. Our furthest island is Quail Island, which we call Duan Island in language. I'd like to welcome you here today to the 2021 Youth Summit. Thank you for having us here. For us traditionally to welcome you, we would have taken you down to the water and washed your sweat into the water with ours, but obviously it's all online this year, so you don't have that luxury. But if you are in Darwin, we do encourage you to go down to the beach and wash your sweat into the water. Just let country know that you're here. But yeah, thank yous, and I'll say in language, Te Maragiri Gurangwa, Gualwa Gul American. Welcome to Darwin, welcome to Larrikey country. Thank you. Mama.
Thank you so much, Trent, for taking the time to film that welcome to country. I would also like to acknowledge that this meeting is being led on the traditional lands of the Larrikey people and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging. I would also like to extend this acknowledgement and show my respect to the lands on which all our attendees are on today. A little about me, I'm a proud Wawonga and Kukach woman who is passionate about education, influencing change and inspiring and empowering people. So I feel incredibly honoured to be a part of today's event. For asking questions today, your opinions do matter, so please feel free to share them by typing in your questions or ideas if you have any comments in the comment section at the bottom, and we will try our best to get to as many of them as we can throughout the day. Back in 2019, this summit was held and young people identified health priorities that were used to inform research and decision making. It's really important that we have you all online today to listen to young people's wants and needs and help make things happen for a better future for young people in the Northern Territory. Now, these events don't happen on their own, so a big thank you to the hosts of this summit, Menzies School of Health, in partnership with Hot North, our major sponsors, the Northern Territory Government, NTPHN, Bridging the Gap Foundation, Ironbark Aboriginal Corporation, and our event supporters, Charter Air and Charles Darwin University. As I mentioned earlier, this event is about hearing from young people. So a big shout out to the Youth Subcommittee and I'm going to try and pronounce this the best I can, Fuyana traineeship program and other incredible young people who have driven this initiative. We always talk about young people being our future, and yet the future is already here. And there are so many talented and intelligent young people in our community. So it gives me great pleasure to hand over to Jane Alia, who will facilitate the youth panel.
First of all, good morning, everybody. My name is Jane Alia, and I'd like to, first of all, acknowledge the traditional owners on whose land we meet today online and pay my respect to past, present, and emerging, and also to all those young people in this room who are Indigenous, who identify as Indigenous young Territorians. So thank you so much for having us today. Before we continue, I'd like to welcome all of you once again and say that my name is Jane Alia, and I am the 2019 Young Citizen of the Year awardee for Darwin. And also I was the former representative for City of Darwin's YAC. And it's such an honor to host this event today, especially seeing that we have so many amazing young Territorians in the room, and also just being part of this Menzies Youth Health Summit 2021. So this event is really about young people, and we want to hear what really matters to young Territorians. So I'll jump straight into it and introduce your panelists for this session. And I know we are meeting online, but I'd like you guys to just acknowledge these young Territorians because they are incredible, they're amazing, and today's event is all about them. And so I'd like you all to acknowledge them wherever you might be at. So please join me in welcoming Jahdai Vigona. He's a Tiwi Island man. He's dedicated to improving health outcomes for his people. We also have Emily Ford, an Aboriginal woman who is our 2020 Young Citizen of the Year for Darwin, and she lobbies for young people. And we also have Sizol Fuyana, who shares her incredible story of hope. If you guys can all wave when I call your names, that'll be incredible. And we also have Emma King, who is a youth ambassador and member of the 2021 Anti-Youth Roundtable. Taylah Chisom, a youth project officer with a B in it NT at Menzies, and who is currently studying nursing. Finally, we also have Shanley Marsden, who is from Alice Springs, and he's passionate about supporting youth mental health. What an incredible lineup of young people we have today. And I really hope that wherever you might be at, you'll pay attention. And I also hope that you're taking some notes. And if you have any questions, we're more than happy for you guys to ask us later on. So now we've introduced our panelists. It's time for us to get to know our panelists a little bit better. So I'm going to ask each of them to tell us in just 2 minutes each something about themselves and what their hope is for young Territorians. So I'll start off with Jahdai, and then move on to Emily, Sizol, Emma, Taylah, and Shanley.
Okay, well,
So Jahdai, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
yeah, okay, so my name is Jahdai Vigona. My heritage is from the Tiwi Islands. I was born and raised here in Darwin. And what I'd hope for young Territorians is to be able to have a better health outcomes and better access to those health services around, because there's a big appetite for youth health, youth mental health in particularly. And I feel like there can be a lot more to be done in the community, and there's a lot of good young upcoming people. And I'd just like to acknowledge the finalists here. Some of you I know very personally, and you're all doing amazing stuff for your community. So I feel like I'd just like to dedicate a lot of my work back into my community.
And we'll move on to Emily as well. Thank you, Jahdai.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Great. Hi. Igan Chaman Kurunjuyangana. Igan Rakmakmakmaranungu. So hello, my name is Emily Chaman Ford. I'm Rakmakmakmaranungu, and my country is Kurunju, which is along the Finniss and Reynolds River around the Litchfield area. So that's where my family's from. I'm also part of the Youth Advisory Committee for Darwin City Council, and this is a great place to promote it, guys. Come along. It's great. You should come. Try it out. So that's for any young person who lives or works in Darwin, or studies as well. So I think that for me, I'd like young people in the Northern Territory to be empowered to be able to do whatever they would like, to study whatever they would like, whether that's going down south or anywhere at all to study whatever particular field they would like. Being really empowered in their work and in their jobs, and well supported to be able to really build something for themselves and for the community, and to feel engaged and accepted by the community as well. I think we're seeing a lot of bad press about young people in the Northern Territory lately, and it would be really amazing just to see more support and more encouragement of young people in the Northern Territory and the things that we're doing.
Thanks, Emily, for those points. And we'll now move to Sizol.
Hello, I'm Sizol. Something about me is I was born in Zimbabwe. I lived in England for 10 years, and I've been in Darwin for 9 years. I'm a small business owner here in Darwin. I run a youth-oriented consultancy firm, so developing and running youth programs with a focus on social and emotional well-being. I'm just passionate about young people. I'm only 20, so I'm a young person myself, and really helping young people realize that despite what's happened in the past, that there's a way to come out of it. You know, I spent 6 months in the psych ward and had lost my job. So in a way, I want to help other young people realize that there's still potential within them, regardless of what's happened. So just making sure everyone gets a fair go. That's my intention. So yeah.
Thanks, Sizol.
Hi, I'm Taylah. I was born in Darwin. My background is Aboriginal Australian from Eastern Aranda. I hope my outcome would be accessing better healthcare for young Indigenous Australians, and giving them more opportunities to be a part of sort of the young advisory groups. Yeah, giving them a better understanding of overall health issues.
Thanks, Taylah. Is Shanley around there?
Yeah. Word. My name's Shanley. I'm an Eastern Aranda woman from Alice Springs. My passion is to hopefully break the stigma around, the stigma and shame around accessing health services, and I guess more discussions around sexual health.
Thank you, everybody. So we've listened and heard from our incredible young Territorians a little bit about themselves. Now we want to hear what they have to say about what matters to them. And I'll once again start off with Jahdai and by asking him some questions. And I want you guys to think about these questions, also reflect on it, and think about the first question that we've asked. What future do you think for young Territorians? So I'll start off with Jahdai and say, you're from Tiwi Islands, Jahdai, and I know you're passionate about improving health for young people. So tell us, what do you think are the main issues that young people are facing in the NT?
Yeah, I'd just like to speak straight from the heart, really, because there's a lot of social issues that impact our community, and I feel like in the youth it's misrepresented a lot, not only in the justice system, but I've had a lot of encounters with people I've lost to suicide, and a lot of people in the community have taken their own lives to suicide at a very young age, and it's very unfortunate to see, because a lot of these people, you know, it's hard to see because they're so full of life, and you know, a lot of beloved people we've lost. So I feel like that narrative and those statistics have only gotten worse over the past couple of years. It's a shame to see, really, and I feel like if there's something we can do, there's something that's not working, obviously, right? I don't want to make it a political thing, but if we can see it that it's not working, you know, in the communities, especially even on the Tiwi Islands, I can notice almost every second week there's lives lost to health outcomes. So it's unfortunate to see, really, but for me, that's what I'd like to see, is to see those statistics sort of decrease over the next couple of years. And if there's something we can do to change that outcome, I think we can start off with how young Indigenous people, not just Indigenous people, but youth as a whole, can sort of contribute to that. That would be my main priority. For the territory as a whole, social and emotional well-being is a big appetite up here, I feel. So yeah, that's what I'd like to see, a big change, and that's what I'd like to contribute my work to.
Thanks, Jahdai. And we've heard that Jahdai would like to see statistics decrease. And I really hope that organizations that are working with young people are listening. And together, I hope that these voices are being recorded, and I hope that somehow we will try and listen to the voices that young people are saying today and work together with them to make sure these issues are being overcome and solutions are formed. We'll now move on to, I don't know if you have anything else to say today before we move on?
No, I'm all good.
All right, so it's now for Emily to just tell us a little bit. We know the impacts of COVID-19, and it's almost been 2 years, and we've seen how it has impacted people around the world. And also here in the territory, though we don't have so many cases, and we're very grateful for, as a nurse myself, I know the impact COVID-19 has had on myself and others around me. So Emily, it would be remiss for me not to mention the impacts that COVID-19 has had, which included taking this event online, which is quite sad because I was really looking forward to meeting all of you guys physically. Emily, you've spoken quite openly about the financial impacts of COVID-19, which leads to obviously pressure that you believe this has had a lot of impact on young people. Can you please share your views on this?
Yes, definitely. So as we all know, good old COVID has been keeping everything real spicy for us these last few years. But when you think about the financial impacts of COVID, we've had lockdowns, lots of people have been out of work. We've been very lucky in the Northern Territory that hasn't affected us too much. But, you know, we're not an island by ourselves. We're definitely connected to the country. We're connected globally to the world financially very much. And when you look at our two major financial hubs of Sydney and Melbourne being in lockdown quite often, and a lot of young people there not being in work, because what are all the jobs that are non-essential? What are all the jobs that get cut straight away. It's hospitality, it's people who are doing things in customer service, and that's something that a lot of young people work in. That's, you know, the first few jobs that young people have. And for early career people, they can't work from home because they're not at the point yet where they can work from home in whatever field they're in. So that's creating a lot of troubles for young people, and especially for people who want to go study down south. Also really early on in the pandemic, in 2020, the government announced that they were changing the university fees as well, which really affected young people. I had a few high school students who I was speaking to when that happened last year, and they were saying that they had to really think about whether they could do the things that they wanted to do. I think the humanities jumped about 40%, and then in price, and you had at university level, and then you had other degrees that went down because the government, well, because they just needed more people in those areas. And so they're like, please come this way. But then you had other people who were like having to think about having a huge HECS debt for the rest of their lives to do the thing that they wanted to do, or to do the thing that would cost less and also have more money. So I think you think about just the financial pressure that's putting on a lot of people. And I don't think a lot of young people understand personal finance. It's not something we're taught in school. It's not something we're encouraged to do, but it's so essential for life. And if you have it set when you're young, there's compound interest, your money. If you have it set when you're young, it gets way better when you're older. But if you don't have that, and if you mess it up in the first few years, it can really impact you further on in life, which is very intimidating, and it's kind of scary. And I think there really needs to be more importance placed on financial health for young people, especially because that's something that sets you up for life. That's things that dictates your access to healthcare, whether you can have private health, whether you can be able to do things that impact your life. Like, I think for like getting access to mental health care and being able to see a psychologist, different things like that, where you need money and you need to not be under pressure to, I think, yeah, when you have money, you're not under as much pressure in life. So I think it's really, really, really important that young people in the Northern Territory are really empowered financially and in their financial education. Because I think when you look back at things like the Great Depression back last century, or when you look at the 2008 financial crisis, young people, so 15 to 25, people who are just starting their professional career / people who are in those jobs that are so easily gotten rid of because it's the lowest paid people, they're the people who have just come in, they're the people who don't have permanent positions, they're the people who the company hasn't invested in as much, so they're sort of easier to get rid of first. I think that's where you look at it and you're like, when you go back and you look at studies that were done around young people in that time frame when financial crises have hit the world, they have the most impact in the long term for their financial life as well. Because in those first important years where you don't have the commitment of children or the commitment of other things in life, that's when you're at your highest earning potential for number of hours you can commit. And so it's so essential and so important that young people have good financial health, because that impacts so many things. So yeah. And also it would be very much as remiss of me to not mention closing the gap, because that's something that's very important to my heart. And I feel like shifting slightly from COVID, that's something that's just so important. And I think it's important that we make real steps on that in the Territory especially.
Thanks, Emily. And we've heard quite a bit about the impacts that COVID has had. And something that I'd like to highlight, and I hope that we'll take this into consideration, is that young people need more awareness about health literacy. financial literacy, and also they need to be empowered about money. So I hope that someone is listening out there and someone who is financially able to help young people. I hope that this is something that you'll be able to help us on. We'll now move on to Sizol. Sizol, you talk a lot about mental health and your journey through some of these tough times that you've had in your life. What messages do you have for young people who might be going through some of these challenges at this moment?
Don't suppress it. That's a key message, because I used to suppress my issues, and I used to just go to the gym or go play soccer and forget about them. But what I didn't realize that over the last, I think, look, I was a bit of a troubled young person at school. I was always suspended at school. I was always in trouble at school. So, and I didn't realize that all of that, if I trace back, that could have been dealt with when I was a kid, rather than when I got to 18 and all of a sudden I'm in the psych ward and I've lost my job. So don't suppress it. And I think having a good support network, and even after, coming out and achieving what I've achieved, still having a good support network, because there's days where you feel like, why am I doing this? Why am I running this business? And to look after yourself, and I know it sounds really selfish, but you come first. If I'm not correct and checked in with myself, I can't look after the business. I can't look after the kids I work with. So it starts with you. And don't be hard on yourself, because I feel like being 20, I do so much and I don't have time to actually be a 20-year-old. So have fun, go out and play sports, but also look after your mental health, talk to people. And sometimes it sounds crazy, but sometimes the best advice comes from yourself. Talk to yourself, sit down with a pen and paper, write things out. Because I feel like sometimes we are our biggest enemy. We try, because for so long I was blaming everyone else for where I was blaming my family. And I realized actually it's me versus me. And once I face myself, and this is where I think we all struggle, because it's easier to blame rather than sit there and go, maybe there's things I need to work on. So yeah, that's my advice. And, just reach out. People do care. I can guarantee you people do care. So yeah.
Thanks, Sizol. I know that we're running out of time, and you can see clearly that young people have a lot to say. I know time is a pressure at the moment, but I really hope that after today that you'll be able to keep in touch with some of these young people and hear more about what they have to say. We'll just move on straight to Taylah. Taylah, you work in health fields and you're also studying nursing. That's a good choice. Myself, I'm a nurse, so congrats on that. Why do you believe that it's important for young people to be involved in discussions around youth health priorities? And what do you think the current challenges are for young people that are relating to health?
Okay, I think young people should be a part of the health-related discussions, because young people are the future. There are many reasons. It is a time in their life where they are developing physically, intellectually, and emotionally. It can also be a high period of risk and time where people are drinking and experimenting with drugs. Being a part of these beneficial discussions can help them grow their understanding on different health priorities and influence them to make healthier life choices and habits. It's also great for us to hear their perspectives as young people, as it helps us to improve the way we engage further with other young people. As for current challenges, I think young people experience related to health would be drug intake and sexually transmitted diseases, as they're currently high statistics in the Northern Territory. I also think a large majority of young people don't take these issues as seriously as they should, or many may feel embarrassed to talk about it. I definitely believe there should be more education around these topics, especially in young Indigenous communities in rural areas, as they may not always have access to the resources and facilities to educate around these issues.
Thank you, Taylah. Indeed, young people need spaces like this where they can be able to talk about these challenges and also solutions together. Is Emma, you're right there. Can you hear us now? Can you
hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can. Well
Finally,
done.
oh my God, thank you. Finally, hi everyone, I'm Emma King. I'm currently sitting at school. We just finished our book character assembly, hence the heavy eye makeup and the Wi-Fi connection that has somehow destroyed my audio. But I'm here now. So yeah, my name's Emma. I'm 16. I'm in year 11 in Darwin at Marara Christian College. I'm a Gurindji girl, and that's really central to my identity, and that's a really important part of who I am. That's my sense of purpose in life, is making things better for Aboriginal people. So thank you all for having me here today. Yeah, I guess that kind of sums me up and who I am. Yeah.
Thanks, Emma, and we're so grateful that you're back online. I'll jump straight into your question. So Emma, you've been an advocate for social justice from a very young age, I believe, and this year you're on the Youth Roundtable. It's something that I've been part of previously. How do you think this experience will assist you in supporting young Territorians?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I guess advocacy really, for me, like both my parents have been advocates forever. Like when I was little, right, when I was young, my parents used to only buy me black baby dolls and like Barbies. So like all my life, like that's the sort of environment that I grew up in. So it's always been in my blood. But initiatives like the Youth Roundtable are really good because we tend to surround ourselves with people that agree with us all the time. People that think like that, us, people that look like us. That's what we're drawn to. It's what makes us feel comfortable and safe. But things like the Youth Roundtable and the beauty of initiatives that really bring people together is that I am so sorry. That was my school bell.
Keep going, all good.
But initiatives like the Youth Roundtable, they bring people together and they push us out of our comfort zones like that, you know, so that you can sit with people who don't look like you, people who don't think like you, and you can have a conversation, a proper conversation about things that matter to you. And that's really, really important. Because when we are only around people that think like us, we become insular. And the risk of becoming insular is that you become disconnected from reality. And all of a sudden you're sitting on the outside of what makes us a country, of what makes us a society. So that's what's really important about initiatives like that. And I'm really thankful to be a part of it.
Thanks, Emma. And we're very grateful that you were able to jump on online. Thank you so much for that. And I know time is running out, but we'll jump straight into Shanley. Shanley, you've grown up in Annam Land and Alice Springs. How can both young people living in remote and urban communities be equally catered to? And what challenges are there that you face as young people that are living in rural and remote communities, especially in relation to accessing health services?
Yeah, no worries. So I've realised growing up in Arnhem Land, at school, we didn't get as much, I guess, engaging education around mental health and sexual health, and I guess health in general. So when I moved to Alice Springs, I realised there's a lot more, I guess, health promotional events, and they're really engaging. So I guess equal educational events for both urban and remote communities. And I guess one of the issues with accessing health services in remote is that you have relatives and you have, I guess, people you know working at the same health service. So I guess emphasising how confidential your medical information is, and just knowing who within the clinic is seeing your medical information is a big thing. So yeah, confidentiality around your medical information.
And I think what you've mentioned is indeed true. And as someone who works in health, I know that's a big issue. And I hope that somehow we'll try to make young people trust the services that are out there and work together with them. Because I know it's quite daunting to talk to somebody who you might not know about your health. And I know that you have a lot to say, and I somehow hope that even if we have limited time today, these discussions will continue to go on, and together we're trying to find solutions to make sure that all these voices that we're raising today, all these issues that we're saying today will be looked upon, and together we'll try and find solutions. So this is the final question for all of you guys. I'll start off with Jahdai and move on. In just few words, since we're running out of time, what is the key health priority to you right now?
It's a good one. I feel like for me, mental health, I feel like mental health is pretty broad among all those issues that everyone's touched on. You know, it's a big problem. It's a big appetite here in the Northern Territory as a whole. So mental health would be my key priority, and yeah, I feel like that categorizes among all the other social and emotional well-being issues.
Thank you, and we'll move to Emily, just in few words.
Yeah, I think for me, it would definitely be eyes and ears in remote communities, because so many kids have ear infections and then that doesn't get treated, and then they can't hear in school, and that affects them for their entire lives. So I think, yes, ears, eyes, those are the most important things, because those are the things that you use a lot in education.
Thank you. Emma?
I mean, my health priority, probably for me personally, would be the fact that I, a couple of months ago, got diagnosed as a celiac. And people think that like it's just like a gluten intolerance kind of thing, but it's like an autoimmune disease. And like after a while, it can really like affect your bones, and you have a higher risk for cancer, and there's all these things. So it's kind of just like stamping out gluten, I guess.
Wonderful. And Shanley?
I guess a health priority for me is providing a place where people feel safe and respected is a big thing for me.
Wonderful. Sizol?
For me as well, yeah, it's mental health, and also taking the time to build the rapport with the young person. Because what I found with the young person I work with, that once I've built that relationship with them, that's when the trust comes in. Because we're dealing with kids who have parents, you know, they're in the child protection system, the parents have left them. There's already those trust issues. So if we take the time to build the trust with the young person, not just take from them, but have a balanced relationship, I think we can, you know, we can come a long way. So.
And finally, we've got Taylah.
I would say it would be helping with education towards health-related disease, and yeah, listening to young people, connecting with them, sort of a more deeper level where they trust you, and yeah, you can get across to them rather than, yeah.
Thank you so much. And all those who are online today, you've heard a lot about what young people have to say, and you can see from their eyes and from their voices that they have a lot to say. Though our time is limited today, I hope that in the future somehow we'll have these discussions going, and together we'll try and find solutions, because young people do have a lot to say, and they're not the future for tomorrow, they're the future for today. So their voices need to be heard to be able to provide services that are suitable for them, services that matter to them. So please join me in thanking all our young people today. Please join me in thanking Jahdai Vigona. We've got Sizol, Fuyana, Emily Ford, Emma King, Taylah Chisom, and Shanley Marsden. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll now hand it back over to our online host.
And thank you, Jane.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane, and our panel members, all who brought up some very interesting and relevant topics for consideration, with hopes for solutions to be developed and actioned to improve the health of young people. We're just going to take a short break so you can stretch your legs. We'll be back online, and I hope the team don't mind, but I will be back online through the same Zoom link at 10:55 a.m. Feel free to stay online. We'll have some songs playing in the background, which have been chosen by the youth committee to share, which might give you a little hint of the health priorities we are going to discuss after the break. Just another quick shout out to our sponsors that make today possible: Menzies School of Health and Hot North. Major sponsors, the Northern Territory Government, NTPHN, Bridging the Gap and Ironbark Aboriginal Corporation, and our event supporters, Charter Air and CDU.